Welcome to Nerd Church. We are a party of 3 tonight, but we will have an auto-piloted air this evening, which I think will navigate through democracy. I think we know air roughly well enough at this point to have a good sense of what she'd be up to. But as a reminder, the party last time finally, at long last, made it to the sort of the headland of the river, the Kinkosh or Chinkosh River, and arrived at the hidden village of Tesh Shiar. On arrival, you saw the village across a sort of placid lake where the source of the river seems to emerge from behind the village. I found a cool picture online that I really like, that I have decided now is the representation of Tesh Shiar. So if you can see that here, it's the river is sort of pouring over just a very small waterfall into this lake, this sort of reservoir, before it flows on as a full river further down. So part of the village is on essentially an island in the center of the river, and part of it extends, as we talked about, on stilts out into the lake, a la Tolkien's Lake Town. Esgaroth? Did I get that right? Is that Esgaroth? I think so. Lake Town. But yeah. Anyway, so it's sort of a combo of that. And up to this point, the party has really only been able to observe that from across the lake. Floating.
You are correct. Esgaroth.
Nice. Floating on the lake itself, you have witnessed kind of an interesting phenomenon, which are these huge fruit trees that are floating on the surface of the lake. Their roots apparently buoyant and keeping them upright. And there's a number of these floating around the lake. And as you were making your way, as you were making your way around the circumference of the lake towards the village, you encountered an awakened tree that seemed to be emanating sort of a purple light, which you battled because it attacked you and thwomped you real good a few times. It did. And upon cracking it open, also battled a swarm of glowing purple beetles that emerged from inside, and eventually defeated it. At which point, Autumn harvested a small amount of purple fungal goo.
Sweet.
That
was great.
I like to collect. I collect molds, spores, and fungus.
Take it away, Egon.
And and I believe about the time you wrapped, Pando had proposed pausing to rest briefly before you continued. So if the group would like, you can give yourselves the benefit of a short rest to start our session. Or you can decide to do something different. Right now, you're, I would say, let's see, if we think about a clock, you were following the river up to the lake. And so if the lake is a clock face, you entered at about the 6 o'clock mark, where Tesh Shiar is at the 12 o'clock mark. You've managed to proceed around to about the 4 o'clock mark around the circumference of the lake. That's where you had this battle. So there's still some way to go if you would like to make your way into the village, but you can also pause here in relative safety, having just defeated the creature that was right here at least. What do you want to do?
Well, if we need to take a short rest, I think that Panem is going to put the exocomp on sentry mode. Mm-hmm. And just walk a perimeter, not like not so much focusing on the town, but focusing on what is behind us in the forest. And Panem will take up just watching the town. He's gonna, slink up against a tree. You can't really see him because he looks like a stone. He'll just sit there and watch.
All right, sounds good. Well, while this is happening, anyone who likes may take the benefits of a short rest on your character. That, as a reminder, you can use hit dice to heal during this time, should you need to. I'm going to check
do the hit dice healing.
air here.
When you do short rest, these little boxes here are the hit dice. And so each time that you click that,
Well, that's handy. Can I hit another one too?
mm-hmm.
Might as well. I think we'll need it.
I don't think
Okay.
any of my spells come back with a short rest.
No.
Nice.
As a druid, you get
13.
spells back only
Right.
on a long
And
rest.
12.
And I've only used one
All
first
your hit-
level.
it's all your hit points back.
Yeah, I got all of them back. I know, and now I have 40.
Is-
Man,
is
this
there-
Wi-Fi is struggling.
Is
You
it
have 2
mandatory
attacks, don't you?
that, so like I have,
You should.
let's
I
use
think
Cure
when you
Wounds
picked it
as an
up,
example. I have
go
that as,
to,
and Healing Word.
actions.
I have
and
those
then-
as spells at my second level.
Oh, attacks per action 1.
But they automatically
one,
become my
but
third level
it's
spells as
all
well.
jumped
Because
out.
they get more powerful, right?
Yeah, but they don't take up
Massively.
a
I get
third
a-
level
I got a
spell.
second attack.
Slot.
I mean,
Right.
almost all of my hit DC.
So,
DCs
as
are
a druid,
+7s,
I have a
+8s.
choice because I have 2 spell slots at third level, 3 spell slots at second level that I could use. If I used Cure Wounds at second level, it's not going to take a third level spell slot.
No,
I would have to actually choose to use the third level version of that.
correct.
Okay.
Yeah. So if you have two third level spells, if you're at a level where you get 2 third level spells, that's 2 new spells
Okay.
that it has nothing to do with the spells that you've already taken at level 1. So a
And the
spell that
only
you
reason
can cast
those
at level
show
1
up-
always lives on chapter 1 of your spell book, let's say. Right. But you can upcast it.
Okay.
And so that's why it shows up on D&D Beyond in those higher levels, just so you remember that you can upcast
Okay.
it. But it doesn't take up room.
And
Now,
I don't
if you
have to
cast-
cast it at that level.
No, you can cast it at any level you
Okay.
want. But if you cast it at level 3, it takes up a level 3 spell charge.
Correct. But then wouldn't subsequently take up the any level 2 spell slots, even though it also lives there as a possibility.
Correct.
Thank you.
That's right. Yep.
Thank you. I couldn't figure that out without being in action, like and actually using it.
Yeah.
So thank you.
Not a problem. What do you mean you can't connect to this network?
It's going in and out by itself.
There we go.
I've found that.
Yeah, our Wi-Fi's been sketch lately. I don't know why. But I'm shifting to my phone's Wi-Fi just so maybe I won't disrupt everybody
Wait a
else.
minute.
Okay, I'm just gonna check quick. Air is slightly wounded, so I do think she would. Well, I know she would take the benefits of a short rest because she would get some spell slots back. But I think she would likely roll a hit die here, so I'm gonna do that for her to heal for 5.
Really
Probably another one. So that was a bad roll. Alright, I think that's what she would prefer. Alright, so Air is back to almost full hit points. And has all her spells back.
Nice.
Okay, so you spend 90 minutes, almost 2 hours perhaps, just sort of bandaging your wounds, catching your breath, huddling back up, let's say, and kind of getting ready for what's next. At this point, the sun is pretty high in the sky. You entered the area around Teshiar in the late morning, and now you're probably looking just past noon as you prepare to continue your journey. So how are you proceeding?
Well, we have a signal we're following, right?
Well,
Yeah,
are we gonna go? Yeah, that's right, because it's in there, isn't it?
the tracking device is pointing you directly at the village.
Right.
So, I mean, really, your options in D&D are always nearly unlimited, but limited by only by your imagination.
We're getting
But you
better.
can basically continue to go around the perimeter of the lake, or you could try to swim or pass across the lake in some way. Those are, if you're trying to get to the village, those are the options you have.
Oh, the perimeter sweep didn't come up with anything uneventful.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, you
Great.
kind of see the same thing you saw the last time, which is from here, the village looks empty.
Still no fires or signs of life.
Nope.
Do we see any like docks on the perimeter with like, you know, people with little boats that would like take us into the village?
Oh, good.
No, not over here on this side.
Okay.
But on that side, there a good half of the village is out on stilts and piers in the lake. You see boats, small boats tied up alongside some of those little skiffs and
But we don't see any
kayaks
like
and canoes and things
on
like
the
that.
shore.
But nothing on this side.
Okay.
No. Mm-mm.
What about any other just wildlife? Do you see any life at all?
Sure. Make a perception check. Anybody who would like to is welcome to make a perception check.
Would I do a nature check or a perception check?
Either. I'm fine with either.
I
For
do
you.
a nature check.
Oh,
I got a 4.
I watched that thing for an hour.
This is an appropriate
Got a
sticker
6.
because I rolled a 1.
Natural one.
Oh God.
I mean, you don't see any animals.
I guess Bottom was a little more sleepy than he
Yeah, I mean-
initially thought he was.
Here's the thing. I think a lot of you, though you sit here for quite a while, you're coming off a pretty big adrenaline rush. Like a big, crazy, corrupted tree came out and attacked you out of nowhere, and you're still pretty far away. So you're zeroed in on this village, but I mean, you don't see creatures walking around over there.
Okay.
I'll at least give you this. Like, you still hear birds
Okay.
and critters. Like, this sounds like the forest. It's sort of the jungly
It's
area.
not something that's frozen in time or something like that.
Not where you're
Frozen.
sitting right now.
Okay.
Like, here where you are on, again, more like 4 o'clock on the clock. You got a ways to go to get to the village.
Right,
but
right.
where you're sitting right now, it still feels like you're in the woods,
Okay.
which is a little... this is a semi-tropical region you're in right now. So there's like some big broad-leafed trees.
Yeah,
And
pretty.
it's not... You're not in the jungle, but it's closer to that.
Banyan trees type of
Yeah,
deal.
there you go, yeah.
Where? Oh, geez. What was I just thinking about? Oh, where does this city fall on the map that I drew the last time? And does it fall in a significant spot?
Oh, the map you drew from the
Oh yeah.
From all the
pillars.
monoliths.
From
yeah.
the monoliths. Make an intelligence check.
21.
You pull it out and sort of analyze as best you can. It doesn't seem to fit the pattern.
Okay.
You're not, as best you can tell and as best you can estimate where this is, the map seems to be charting something that probably predates this village.
Okay.
I'm in favor. Let's. I'm not gonna try to swim again right now. I mean, with a whole bunch of people, I would try to swim again myself, but I don't want to be responsible for you guys swimming. And
Especially
so let's
our
just keep
friend
on.
Air.
Yeah, let's keep on walking. Well, you know, and Potham too. Potham is not a natural swimmer.
I'm not. I sink like a rock.
I can definitely see you having some swimming ability.
Not a lot of buoyancy here.
I
I think it's the tools.
was gonna say I am carrying like 100-pound tons of weapons also that I have to leave on the shore.
Tiny limbs,
Tiny.
literal rock skin, covered in metal tools.
And he's rounder than he is.
This is gonna go great. All right, so y'all continue to march along. My assumption is that you're fairly on alert
Yes.
as you go. As you get closer to the village, so you round again on the clock. Let's say you come around 3 o'clock and then 2 o'clock, and now you're much closer to the village. And at this point, your perspective of the village really hasn't changed. Like, you can see it much more clearly,
Okay.
but you still see no people walking around on the piers or through the small paths and streets. You don't see any cook fires or lights. I mean, it's mid-afternoon at this point, and you see no sign of life in the village from a distance here. As you get closer and you're about to sort of approach the village, how do you want to approach?
Yeah, when we stop back there,
Uh-huh.
can I would like to send the exocomp forward.
Okay.
With just a, like, go ahead, breach the city limits, and warn us of any trouble.
Okay. All right, the exocomp marches ahead. The exocomp doesn't do stealthy, so it's just going to proceed into the village proper, which it does. So this picture doesn't do it perfect justice, but there are a number of bridges and piers that extend across the river as it flows down into this lake, which is sort of the reservoir before the river really gets going. So there's easy crossing here. You don't have to like ford a river to get to the village. The village extends out across the river on this side. The exocomp marches right across that bridge, or one of the bridges. It's sort of heavy metal footsteps echoing on the boards, and you see it proceed onto the path, move more deeply into the village. It rounds a corner behind a couple of houses and disappears. It's gone, and it's gone forever.
It's gone
you don't
forever.
Now you no longer have erase the exocomp from your character sheet.
For right now, I can build another.
No. Did you give it any instructions, like to come back, or was it just go in the village?
Breach the village, and then come back and let us know if it's safe.
Okay. So it goes in. Let's say it spends out of your sight. It spends about 10 minutes where you cannot see it. You do at one point hear something. Sounds like maybe the exocomp's footsteps on another pier, or something else walking from a distance. But after about 10 minutes, the exocomp reappears around the corner that it disappeared around, marches back across the pier right up to you, and it reports back in the way that it has before. It displays some images to you, and the images you see are of what appears to be an abandoned village. Although, as you look at the images that the exocomp displays back to you, it is strange. It's a little strange. Actually, you know what? I want you, Potom specifically, I want you to make a perception check as you watch these images to see what you notice. I'll tell everybody for free that the exocomp did not see any people.
Okay.
23.
Very good.
I like that.
So as you look at this, you're sort of building a mental map in your head, and you're watching closely for details that might be useful. And there's a couple. Well, here's a high-level description. So, though Teshiar is empty of people, there are signs of recent activity throughout the village. There are implements, for example, of fishing, trades, cooking.
But you're gonna say like the stew is on the oven.
No, not
not
like
quite
that.
like that.
All of
Okay.
these implements are resting neatly as if they were like stored for the night.
Okay.
It almost could be like this town is frozen in the moment after everyone went to bed. It looks like this town could hold probably around, you'd guess, between 150 and 250 people. It's hard to know. It's not huge, but there's enough homes to probably account for that many people, depending on the number of families and things like that. Apart from the homes, there are really only two large structures. One is what I would describe as a longhouse that is built out over the water, so it's fully on stilts or fully on one of these piers. And this, though the exocomp did not go inside, from the outside you can see a number of small boats docked alongside it. So this appears to be maybe a very large boathouse, but there's more than that inside. Obviously, it's a big building. And then the second large building is sort of built into the hillside on this island. And your best guess is that this is a large community gathering space. It's the only other really large building, and it's more of a big circular sort of dome-shaped building, easily the size of 10 of any of these little huts that are scattered around the village. The only other thing that you notice, as you're watching the playback, is that though there are no people here, there are still plenty of the native animals around. So tropical birds are flying by. The exocomp actually sees one or two monkeys skittering through the village.
No domesticated animals, though.
No, I would say, well, it's hard for you to know for sure, but the exocomp spots a cat. There are a couple of dogs, potentially wild dogs, but it's hard to know. I mean, you can't tell when they're running around. Pat, pat, pat. But there are birds, monkeys, and other small animals are running around here too. So this is not it's not a dead zone. It's not like it's not like the exocomp walked into an area that was radically different ecosystem wise from where you are right now.
Freya's gonna walk in there.
Yeah.
Freya's gonna walk in.
I think that's. I think we should go to the community
I
center.
think, we're gonna
That's where
just
we're-
head straight over to the community center.
Okay.
So if you guys want to, I can walk in on my own. I can always come back and just let you know what's going on. But if
I
you want to
think
come,
we should go together.
okay.
Yeah.
And is the signal still strong? Like, for
Oh,
basically
yeah.
the center of that
Good
village?
call.
Yeah, and in fact, the beacon points directly at the island itself. So not the part of the village that is kind of out on stilts on the pier,
Okay.
but at the
Island
sort of
center.
land mass where about half the village is built on.
All right. Yeah. Let's head there.
Yeah.
All right. So you make your way.
I worry that whatever's on that island is going to see us coming. But
Well, I mean, how
you
could
know.
it not? It's
Right.
probably already seen us.
Even if we were just on the shore walking around it.
Look, I'm used to being detected. Let's just go.
all right, let's go.
Not the first time.
Not the first time.
All right, you walk across this pier or bridge that the exocomp took, and as you step into sort of the village proper, it doesn't feel like you've crossed some invisible line. There's no transition, but it is.
Alarms are going off.
No, but it is a little eerie because this doesn't feel like. I mean, Freya, you've been in abandoned settlements.
Not abandoned.
Out on campaign, you've come across villages where everyone fled. in advance of your army, or Pod, I mean, some of your early days of exploration, looking for interesting artifacts or doing research.
Field work.
I mean, you've seen ruins and ancient settlements and things like that. This isn't that. This is a
living place.
This is a place where people have lived very recently. Things are used and cared for and maintained. This is not a rundown place, but there are
What's the city's
no
name?
people.
Chernobyl?
Chernobyl. There are dogs
Does anybody
here.
kind of feel a
There
little
are
itchy?
dogs here. So here's the thing.
The C word.
So this is not a Freya thing. The C word. So this isn't a Freya thing at all. So I'm just throwing this out there to my comrades. Would anybody okay, are there ghosts here? The ghosts here, guys? Can we figure out if there's ghosts here? Because I don't detect ghosts, but is there some kind of...
Air just pauses a moment and says, well, if there are, who are you going to call?
Thanks, Air.
That's the most contribution I'm going to allow Air to make.
Is there any kind of sign
I
of
hug
like
him. Hugger.
Ghostbusters reference. Are we now the Ghostbusters?
Fantasy Ghostbusters. Start pulling them
Yes,
together.
please. We hear it starting to play.
Exocomp, you are now called Acto 1.
Can we look around and see if there are signs that people like fled?
Make an investigation check.
15.
We do like an Arcana check for ghosts or something,
Right.
you know? Like,
That's not really how Arcana checks work.
This is
come
seance.
on.
Ghost check.
Fantasy seance.
Yeah.
Fantasy seance.
So you poke your head inside a couple of these huts. You kind of look around the area a little bit. You don't see any sign of that.
Okay.
So again, like Freya, you've marched into villages where the townsfolk had fled, and you've seen like
It's not chaotic.
the children's stuffed
Yeah.
doll laying on the side of the
Right.
road, and the food
The
scattered.
stuffed doll's still laying
right?
in bed.
Everything, honestly, it doesn't look like anything more than everybody in this village settled down for the evening, and then poof,
Are not there.
vanished.
I read a book.
Oh, no.
I think there's a little something called the rapture.
Yeah.
This is what works. Are their clothes neatly
that was-
folded on the bed?
Right.
Oh, that was a question that I was going to ask.
No,
I
there'll
was going
be
to be
some
like,
left.
just as one final check to see
Percentages.
if these people came to a certain demise that they knew of, we could go to their place of
Worship?
spiritual worship.
Yeah.
That's a good idea.
Is that perhaps where the signal is coming from?
Or perhaps where they drink
Well,
the
the signal's coming
Kool-Aid.
from the island. I think that we're
Right.
in the city proper at the
Well,
moment.
now that you're in the city proper, so again, this
But it goes up.
you're
the
close enough
island,
now
right?
that your homing device points. It gives it. It essentially has like a little glowing line that's pointing in the direction where you're going to
Ooh,
go.
like
And
Howl's
It's an
Moving
iPhone
Castle.
that's being
It's
hacked.
just
It's
yeah,
just really hot.
yeah, it hums and heats up as you get closer. And as you spin, the direction of this arrow is pointing straight at that large circular dome-shaped building.
Oh, we gotta go there.
yeah.
Come on.
Yeah.
Let's
You
be
know we do.
prepared for all the things.
Yep. You want me to go first? Because I will. I'll go with the exocomp.
Go
Just
first.
before we go, do you all have healing potions in your inventory?
Oh, that's a good
Just so that I know.
I have no healing potions, only my
may-
healing spells.
Yeah, I think I used my last one on my cricket.
Okay.
Where are our crickets, by the way?
Air does not have a healing potion.
Mine's dead.
Oh.
But Aaron didn't even accept a healing potion in the first place.
Air hates healing.
All right,
Oh,
I have 2.
I actually
So
do
that-
have one more.
Oh.
Sorry.
Great. That's great to know. I have 2. I'll just hold on to them.
Okay.
And I'm going to try my best. Bottom turns to the exocomp and gives.
I lied.
the
I have
exocomp
one potion of healing.
Yeah.
One. Yes.
That's good. You guys have a few. That's good.
Bottom will stash a potion of healing in the Axocom's cabinet.
Okay.
So
Nice.
I'm just going to keep it in my inventory.
I also have a grappling hook, guys, and I speak Minotaur. So.
All right, we're prepared.
We are good.
Pando, how many ears do you have?
1.5.
Solid.
Well, then it's her. We know.
All right, as you approach this large building, it's built of the same material as the rest of this village, which appears to be some sort of local timber. The roof is made of thatch from the broad-leafed trees around here. And it's a big building, as I said. Probably, you would guess from the outside, large enough to hold over 100 people inside.
Hello? Hi!
We had no idea you were coming.
Really? Oh. You could
right.
have some Chenin Blanc, too, if you wanted.
You could.
Or
No,
I can
no,
drink
the
it
Chenin
all,
Blanc
and
is
I'm
over
fine
here.
with that.
I actually want just a little.
All right,
Yeah,
so
One
as you
Does anyone want a topper?
I'm good.
Just a little bit left. Topper?
As you
They're going to think that this is a different podcast.
here, go ahead.
do it.
It's just a wee bit.
Sure. We just got to
That's it.
tap it up. All right, as you approach this large building, as I described, it's made of similar materials as the rest of the village, but it's big, and it's obviously, as you've described, sort of a center of the community. It is partially built into the hill, so it is not one big self-standing circle, but probably 2/3 of the building extend out from the hillside, and the rest is built into the hillside itself. There are two very large double doors in the front, built of a heavy sort of rich, almost reddish colored wood that are beautifully engraved with patterns of leaves and vines that are reminiscent of what you see around you in the forest. And your homing beacon is pointing straight inside.
I say we
Check
scream.
for traps.
Okay.
Oh.
Make an investigation check.
Smart. I was going to say we scream Leroy Jenkins. And run in.
23.
Good.
Uh,
Good on
you do not see any sign of traps.
Oh my god, I love you so much
I know.
right now. I just love
I know.
you. You're so cute.
This appears to be
Wrong character.
a well-trod public area, and you don't see any sign of snares or tripwires or anything on these doors that could be dangerous to you. And in fact, the doors themselves do not have locks on them. They seem to swing outwards. They're not even barred or latched. They're just big, heavy wooden doors.
What Freya could open those.
One time. Just one time. I mean, maybe this will be my shtick. That when I get corrupted and turn evil, and I have a secret lair, maybe it's going to be in that hut over there. Because this seems a little extravagant. And, oh, so obvious. I mean, I understand you need a place to work. Maybe the stables. You don't have to clean up after yourselves.
We have been in the dung business.
Yes, we have.
Tip your wait staff. I'll be here all week.
I think Air leans forward and tries to look through the gap of the door, and she can't see anything inside because it's very dark. It's dark in there.
Even though
And she
even
looks
though
back
has
at all
dark
of you, and she's
vision.
like,
Yeah.
"It's dark."
And we all hug her.
You tried your best.
She leans hard into the
job.
group
Good
hug,
job.
accepting the warmth.
You just pat her on the head
Yes.
multiple times.
Yeah,
That is her consequence
Yeah.
of not being here this
you see
evening.
her eyes glisten with emotion.
Panda goes,
I have a secret box that I put money in, you guys. Oh! I feel so safe with you.
You know what? We know! And we're all dying to know where the money
is he?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm really sorry. I need you for 2 minutes.
Okay.
Alex checked for traps.
Yep.
Bottom checked for traps.
Just seems peculiar.
It seems very peculiar, but we
He's
followed
got a
the
squint in
signal
his
all the
eye,
way
too.
But
here.
It also could just they found the tracker and took it out.
I think we should go
Let's
explore
go
it.
and find out.
There's really, it's almost like there's only one way to know.
There's only one way to know.
It's to push through these doors
Right.
and walk inside the building.
Right.
I feel really
well,
railroaded right now.
I think Frey and the Exocomp can very easily open these giant doors.
And just to throw
You
out
guys
a
should step off to the side.
just to
just
throw
in
out a
case.
red, we don't have to do this. We could go back to the bar and have a really good time.
Yeah, there was Red's constant.
We have followed
It was-
this signal
We
here.
don't have to fight this battle.
favorite
We could just
thing
leave.
to
Why
just
are we
whip out
doing this?
at moments just like this. That was Red's keynote.
So as Freya bursts through the doors,
No, she's opening them
Oh.
with the Exocomp because they're
Yeah.
giant, heavy doors, and
Yeah.
the others are standing off to the side.
these heavy, well-made, this is the, we'll call it fantasy mahogany, doors swing outwards, pull them back. And as they do, these are the size and thickness of doors that when you pull them, you can almost feel like the suction of air getting pulled into the building as you pull them open. Like they're,
Definitely.
They're-
A Frey and Exocomp job.
yeah. It is dark inside, but not pitch dark, right? These buildings are made with thatch roofs, like some of the sunlight gets through, and it's probably 1 PM at this point. And as the light pours in, you can see kind of the little dust motes floating in the rays of sunlight that is coming down through some of the slats in the roof and from the doorway that you've just opened. And what you see revealed inside is what is clearly a meeting hall, because this is a room, it's one big room, built sort of like a theater in the round, with wooden benches set in circular rows around the room, all centered on and focusing on facing what is essentially a low stage in the center. I wouldn't call it an altar, more like a 2-foot high raised
Theater in the round.
stage. Yeah, it's very much like a theater in the round. There is nobody here. The building is empty.
Thank God, I thought it was going to be some midsummer stuff.
Right?
This-
You scared
I've already
me for
seen
a
The
second.
Tempest.
Yeah, it scared me for a second.
It's Richard the Wolf. This is where he's
Sorry.
been hiding.
he's a myth or mythical.
Anyway, sorry.
The room, around the outside of the room, you can see there's sort of a broad aisle behind the last bench where it looks like more villagers could potentially gather to see what's happening in the room. There's probably seating for 100 people here or so. But that's it. That's what you see.
What is the signal doing as we are entering the building?
The signal seems to point right at the stage.
Can we
Oh,
walk
for
over
the
and
love of
investigate
God.
it?
Sure.
Okay, I'll do an investigation check
Okay.
too.
Yeah, I'm gonna start
16.
just looking around.
Yeah,
I
Potter
would like
needs
to-
to bottom this.
Yeah, I would like to just kind of surveil the area.
Sure.
It's weird. This is weird.
For the first time
It
ever
feels
in this
heebie-jeebie.
entire campaign, Freya has rolled a 16 on an investigation.
pretty
Something over an 8 on
Nice.
an investigation
That's
check.
pretty good. Tell me what Freya's looking for and where.
Very specifically, well, up at the stage.
Okay.
Up at the stage and definitely right around the stage. And she's going down and she's looking up and she's checking under.
Okay, sure. So you make your way to the stage. First of all, how cool would it be if the moment Freya stepped on stage, like spotlights
Oh, yeah.
turned on
Yeah.
and highlight, but none of that.
Send in the
I
cloud.
was just gonna say, I was just gonna say that.
Yeah. But very anticlimactically, nothing like that
Nothing.
happens. You march up onto the stage and you begin to poke around and try to lift up boards. And some of the boards are easy to lift up. It's just a dirt floor underneath. Yeah, you dig around quite a bit, but this seems to be nothing more than just a place where maybe a village leader or somebody with something to say would stand and address the crowd, or where a wedding ceremony could take place, or other important village events,
Community theater.
Adam,
or
do you
community
think,
theater.
is there some way, do you think that the signal could be projected into here, onto the stage? Could it be projected from somewhere else?
I mean,
Well, Potom, you said you were looking around. Tell me
Yeah.
more specifically what you're
well,
doing.
so as soon as Freya starts walking front and center in the middle, I start scanning the roof line.
Periphery.
Is there a balcony?
No,
Are
this is
there
a single
rafters?
story.
Sure. Are there rafters above there that where somebody could be hiding? It is totally an aerial, like,
Sure. Make a
Yeah.
perception check.
That's what I was thinking for Pando too. Like, is there evidence of like a secret door? Can she like hear something that's maybe distant?
make a perception check at advantage.
No.
Oh,
Unless she's helping you. You can take the help action and give him advantage if you'd like.
I can do that.
oh, you can. Oh, or you can search for what you were looking for on your own.
What is strategically better in D&D? Because we've done all kinds where
Well,
sometimes
the
one
math.
person does it.
It's
Well,
all
the
about
thing-
the math. So
Okay.
if
And also, like, distinctly different. Thomas took, when we were looking at those monoliths, Thomas took my action. I was geared up. I was ready to go. I was ready to ask a question. Thomas was like, this question. And I went, okay, well, great. That gives me my secondary question. And then I
Okay.
ended up drawing a map on it.
Okay.
Because it just gave me a moment to think, oh, this is what, after I hear what
Sure.
Thomas's results are, great, now I can ask this really in-depth question. So you
Sure.
can stack them like that,
Okay.
or you can give somebody advantage and they get to roll twice on their own question.
right.
Yeah, this
Double
is
down
what I'm
on
going
one
for. That's-
question.
And tactically, sometimes someone's much better at a thing than you are. And percentage-wise, math-wise, it is more beneficial to the party for you to say, well, Freya's really good at lifting heavy things, so I'm
Right.
just going to help her.
Right.
And now she gets to roll twice on her strength and get the big bonus,
Yes.
instead of her rolling once for the big bonus and you rolling once for a paltry bonus.
Right.
So in cases where you're not good at a thing, but you want to help the person who's good at a thing succeed,
Gotcha.
saying I'll take the help action
Yeah.
is beneficial.
So
That
even
is
though-
massively helpful
That
for
is
me to
super
understand.
helpful.
Yeah.
So even though Pando has a +8 when it comes to perception, historically in our campaign, and given your knowledge of whatever the hell it is, this
I know
is
exactly what you're
happening.
going to say, and
Yeah.
I haven't been using perception. I've been using investigation
Right.
most of the time because I have a
Because of the
+8
intelligence.
Very
in
different.
investigation,
So this is an
Yeah.
important differentiation, and there
which is how I phrase questions.
there is an
Gotcha.
overlap, at least the way I play.
Sorry,
there is an
I'm so sorry to
overlap in the
deter.
Venn diagram between perception and investigation.
Yeah,
Okay.
So there are times when I will say, roll perception or investigation,
Yeah.
because both feel valid to me.
Yeah.
But fundamentally, they are different skills.
Okay.
So perception is about what do
And
you
awareness.
yeah
Right?
awareness of
Okay.
the world. What do you see? What do you recognize? What do you hear? Smell? Like what?
Oh
because
shit!
it's a-
There's orcs a mile down the road. That sort of thing.
yeah,
Right, and so all of a sudden you're like, oh wait, something moved over here.
Right.
Right.
That's what I think of perception.
or I
Yeah.
picked up a smell on the wind, or that kind of
Okay.
thing. Whereas
Investigation, you miss the perception because you are actively like looking at the ground, being like, well, these footsteps lead over here, which
Okay.
means that if these lead over here,
investigation is driven by intelligence. So
Okay.
investigation is about research.
Yeah.
It is about logic. It is about, okay, if I watch the pattern of this, can I figure out how it works? Right? So what Potom was doing with the monoliths, pure investigation.
Right.
Because he
Right.
is using his brain and
Perception
his
wouldn't have done
intellect.
anything for that.
then, and it was I specifically had said, okay, is there a pattern here? If I look at all
Yeah.
of the monoliths, is there a pattern? That's what I'm looking for. and then I maxed out that score.
Okay.
Yeah.
Which
Right.
is why we had
Gotcha.
the fun
So
roll.
sometimes
you.
they're the same, and sometimes they're super not.
Yeah.
Similarly, for you specifically, not for just you, but in situations like this today, nature and perception had some overlap.
Yeah.
Because if you're like, are there animals around?
Right.
Well, someone might be like, let me listen and see if I hear skittering sounds
Yeah.
and things that I might interpret to be as animals. And other people might be like,
Send the
let me
exocarpet.
think about what natural sounds I would expect to hear. And so there's different paths to do some of the things that we do,
Okay.
but they are fundamentally different skills driven by different abilities.
Yeah.
That's good. This is nuanced. It's
I
taken
know.
us a very long time to get here.
Yes.
You
I
know?
tried to distinguish.
Which is
But I
different.
love that you guys like stuck with it
Mm-hmm.
up to this point instead of just being confused and like angry about it.
Oh,
No,
and
not at
there
all.
are-
I was
Yeah.
confused and angry
And-
a few times. That's like what that's my thing.
And there are lots of long-term players who don't get the difference between perception and investigation.
Sure.
Well, this is
And
also a
who
very
get
clear
frustrated
example
about that.
that has been created.
Yes.
So, like, in my head, I was going to do a perception check to literally listen. Like, am I catching, like, a flicker of light, like, through something that might be, like, a fake door?
Yeah.
Am I hearing something through walls that, like, my elf ear and a half might pick up? That sort of thing.
Right.
Not looking for, like, levers and footprints.
Yeah,
and
so the
indications of
difference
that.
is two different approaches to trying to do the same thing. Potham might look for secret doors by going around and being like, I know how secret doors work. So I'm gonna
Is it this stone?
knock on
This stone?
I'm gonna knock on walls and listen for hollow places. I'm gonna look for stones
Please
that
be a
look slightly
secret door.
different
Please be a
color.
secret door.
And Freya might be like, "Hey, are there secret doors here?"
Freya will just she'll use the intimidation skill
Yeah.
to find
Right.
secret doors.
Right. You better open.
It's a very
You better
high
open.
DC,
I'm a princess. I'll tell my dad.
but she rolls a 27, and there's a guy behind the door who's like, "Okay, fine,
What
I'll just open it for you. I'm sorry."
Anyway,
Don't tell your dad. Anything but that.
Potham, would it be more, in your experience, is it more beneficial for me to do my perception and you to do your investigation, or for me to help?
I think that because we were asking different questions,
Yep.
I was sort of slyly being like, oh, but we're asking the same questions. We're asking different questions. I think at this point you should
Do my perception.
roll your... I
Okay.
got a 14.
Thank you for letting us tangent and explain. That
Yeah,
was
yeah, that was
incredibly
great.
helpful.
It
I think
really,
that
really
that's
was.
really
I
what
think-
podcasts should be about.
We've talked about this. We've talked about this too. That
Yes.
It's like, and it's funny because we go out then so far that it's hard to
Yeah.
build on
If we just played
what
like every other
we
day.
remembered and
I
learned.
couldn't be more here for it.
22.
Yeah.
Also,
22 is very
if you have a different take
Anyway,
on perception or investigation, go ahead and give us a like and a follow.
Smash that like button.
Also,
Smash
put
that
in,
like
Tickle the bell.
And
Smash
we'll-
the like button.
Tickle the bell.
let us know what you think in the comments.
Good God.
Let's get this thing off the ground. Are we professionals or not?
No, that's
Nerd
good. We're
church.
really dropping the nerd church tags here.
No church.
Just be sure to tag us.
These are great stickers, but look for our merch stickers coming soon.
Nerd
Yes.
church,
Nerd
nerd church
church.
merch,
Nerd
nerd church merch. Oh, it's so good. It writes itself.
That's how we can retire.
Nerd church merch. This is my retirement plan.
Church merch.
With a 14.
Critical Role, we're coming for you.
Just
Just kidding. Just kidding. Love your content.
Call them out. There's another Matt on the playing field.
We're gonna definitely have to give a little kickback to Dan just for coming up with Nerd Church, okay?
Oh, yeah.
Yes,
Oh, look at you trying to take a bigger take.
Ah,
that's what I do.
that's my share.
Thank you.
All right, with a 14, as you kind of make your way around the perimeter and look up in the rafters, and you're looking for places where something could be concealed, you don't see anything obvious here. This strikes you. It strikes you as it is what it is.
Oh,
It
for
is
the
what
love
it
of God,
appears
what's
to be.
happening here?
Yes.
With a 22, you sort of center yourself and extend your senses into this space. And here's what I'll here's what I'll give you.
Okay.
You experience the same thing that both Freya and Potom do, which is that this feels like a regular building in a regular village. It's different than any place you've been before, right? It's novel to you, but there's nothing out of place here. There's no wind whistling through a secret keyhole. There's no, people whispering in behind a secret passage. But what you do notice is there's more animal sounds in this village than you would expect in an occupied village. The noises of the animals here, of the fauna, they are nearly identical to what you heard in the woods. And unless this village has been unoccupied for a long time, that's weird. Because you wouldn't hear monkeys and birds and animals and things like that this close and active and present in an occupied space.
Unless they were people turned into animals.
Well, here's the thing. Freya's going to go outside and meditate for 10 minutes, okay? And she's going to speak to animals.
Okay. All right.
She has to meditate for 10 minutes to get into the thing.
Potom is scratching his head, but I have a theory, but I need to find this device. So Potom's going to look for the device.
Okay. All right. So while Freya is meditating out on the street, and Potom is going to pull out his tracking device and really try to zero in.
It's a tricorder.
Sure. These are long-range sensors. They're named in the NDPR. What are you up to while that happens?
Since there's nothing immediately in the space, I think Panda would walk outside and start actually just paying attention to the animals. Not in the direct communication kind of way, but kind of how she does when she's walking around in the woods, right?
Mm-hmm. Okay. So we're going to do a couple things. Freya, you don't need to roll right now because you're meditating.
Yeah.
Pando, I'd like a nature check from you.
Sure.
Potom, I'd like an investigation check from you at advantage.
Natural 20. Bringing it to 25.
That's a very good roll.
It's a very good roll.
I guess I don't die.
24.
Also a very good roll. Okay. While Freya meditates out in the street over her totems, the two of you kind of step aside and do your own thing. Pando, you stand...
Potom is frustrated.
Sure.
Straight out frustrated. It's supposed to be here.
Right.
Slapping the side of the
Right.
device. Like, what the heck?
You've seen Quantum Leap.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%.
Yes. Oh my god,
Exactly
we
that.
love Quantum Leap. Ow!
So you step a few paces away from Freya and kind of immerse yourself. And this time, unlike when you were inside the building, where you were focused on your senses and trying to listen, and now you cast a lot of that away. And as you have on some of your sort of walkabouts, you feel for the wild. You reach for that connection to the wild. And you find it strong. Really strong. You feel pulsing very close to this village. Not in the village, but close. Just slightly west of the village, which is upriver, closer to the source of this river, which isn't far. You feel a pulse that you now know is probably one of these, what was described to you as a locus, a center point of energy from which the wild is expanding, growing,
Yeah.
recovering,
Is
whatever.
it the same kind of discontent feeling as when I was near the wild?
No,
On
this
the
is
edge?
very different from the wound.
Okay.
When you were in the wound,
That felt yucky.
that was potent, but a different feeling, right?
Okay.
Like the slightly painful satisfaction of scratching a scab, right? Or on the edges of a scab.
Yeah.
Squeezing a blackhead.
This giant bug bite that I'm like,
Yes.
R/popping. That's the wound.
Yeah.
But this is not that.
Okay.
This is a potent, pure, powerful expression of the wild, and it's close to you. And
close being relative.
relatively close.
Okay.
It's a journey from here. It's not a 5-minute walk. It's not in the village, but it's close. So you notice that immediately because you're immersing yourself in the wild, and that hits you like a
Yeah.
bus immediately. And then as that washes over you and you sort of accustomize yourself to the feeling of that, the background hum of this very high level of energy, the very next thing you feel is the eyes of many creatures on you. And that's different. That it's not hostile, it's not threatening, but when you've gone on your walkabouts in the past, when you've wandered through the wild, you've been not hidden, but
Well, their attention is elsewhere.
yeah. You've been a wanderer through their ecosystem, sometimes a disruption, but often they've not perceived you as a threat. So like if you recall when the bears saw you in the low scrub forest, they looked at you and they assessed you and they didn't feel threatened, and then they went about their business. So they noticed, but they weren't like, what is this thing? Here it's different. They're looking at you. There are a lot of eyes on you, and those eyes are not looking away. They're not tagging you as not a threat and then moving on. They're watching you. Potom, back in this building, you pull out the device and you start to triangulate. And it is frustrating because as you get closer and closer and closer, this device gets hotter and hotter, and it almost starts to shake and vibrate until you are certain you're right on top of the thing. And then you take one more step and the needle spins wildly and it goes cold.
I had this experience this week. I don't. I swear to God I did. Anyway, I know exactly what Potom is going through.
Yeah. It's the stud finder that beeps really clearly on the first pass. And then on the second pass, nothing. And then on the third pass, it beeps in a slightly different spot. And you're like, wait, what is it? What's behind this wall?
Or the tile tag that says it's really strong in the utility room, but you're standing in the utility room and there is no ladder in the utility room.
Right.
So where could that possibly be? But it is here.
Right. Yep.
Which is what I kept on telling the managers this week. I'm like, it's here. It's here. Either the tag is in this room but I don't hear it. So it's in this room and it's damaged, or
It's on a
somewhere
cat.
very near here. And sure
It's
enough, it
on
was
a
in the
cat.
empty space next to us.
Sure
And
enough,
I'm pretty sure it was the facilities guy there.
So you rolled very
That's-
well.
That's right. I leveled
And
at
so
you, facilities guy at
Facilities
that place.
guy. You rolled very well, and so here's what eventually happens. Eventually, after many back and forth treading across this building, slapping the device, hard reset, all the things, you try all the things, and finally, You're standing dead center in the middle of the stage. The needle spins again, and it starts to do the thing, and you get frustrated, and then you take a deep breath, and then you look up at the ceiling, and you look down at the stage, and you rethink the whole plane.
Mm-hmm.
And instead of holding the device flat in your hand, you tip it straight up so that the tip is pointing at the sky. And the needle suddenly spins again and then points straight at the floor. And it glows brightly and gets hot.
Immediately to the exocom. Here. Dig here. Carefully. Antique hardwood. I mean, these villagers worked hard for this. Let's give a little care.
We did. They have ancestors.
So about the time that the XCOM starts marching down and pulling out tools, Freya, you finish your meditation and ritually cast Speak with Animals.
Speak with animals. I don't know how do I cast that?
Well, you're ritually casting it, so you don't need
Oh.
to. When you ritual cast something, it doesn't burn a spell slot, so you don't have to mark
Well, I
anything.
don't even have spell slots anyway, so whatever.
So perfect.
So what do I? Sorry, what do I do?
Well, so click on the spell. And let's read the description.
Okay, and that is you gain the ability to comprehend and verbally communicate with beasts for the duration. The knowledge and awareness of many beasts is limited to their intelligence, but at minimum, beasts can give you information about nearby locations and monsters, indicating whatever they can perceive or have perceived within the past day. You may be able to persuade a beast to perform a small favor for you at the GM's discretion.
Okay. So upon completion of the spell, you feel the power of your ancestors flood through you, and you feel this awareness attuned to the beasts around you. What are you doing?
It's first the birds.
Okay.
I'm just looking at the birds around. Are
Okay.
there any birds that are near me? Any parrots or anything like that? That have been kind of a lot.
Yeah. Make a perception check.
Perception. Should put some bonus points on perception. 20. Natty 20.
Nice.
That's a very good roll. You look around, and you immediately spot two birds within eyesight. One is a very small, almost sort of nuthatch looking bird, just sort of manically flittering from tree to tree. Back and forth. The other you see is the closest thing I can give to a description is a toucan, but much bigger than a toucan in our world. It's great horned owl size toucan, and it appears to be sort of lazily lounging in a very large tree up above the community center, and it's sort of just looking down at the two of you. It seems to be very calm, and it's just sort of keeping an eye on the both of you.
Hey, friends. Hi. Can you help us out here? Is there anything going on? What can I... Are you...
Who are you directing this at?
I'm at the owl. At the toucan
Okay.
thing
All right.
first.
So you're all the bad guys and a toucan.
And a
And
toucan.
a toucan.
Maybe that's a bad guy.
I'm all the bad guys and a bag of chips, toucans. Bag of
And a
toucans.
toucan.
Make a persuasion or animal handling.
Persuasion. I say 8, which is a +4 because I rolled a 4.
That's good. The toucan. The toucan sort of tilts its head as you're talking to it, and it does not respond. but it does tilt its head.
It knows I'm talking to it. It knows.
It's like you're talking to the cat.
It's like
Ears
I'm
are
talking
turned
to the
towards
cat.
you, but
Right.
its head is turned away. I know you can hear me.
Head is turned away. Yeah, right our ear.
So even though
Yeah.
Pando has the ability to like understand nature, she doesn't have that level of communication ability, right? A druid elf wouldn't have that.
Yeah, I mean,
level.
unless you have the spell Speak with Animals, then no.
So I guess what I'll say is, hey, no, you're in there. we really could use some help here. We do not come with bad intention at all. We're looking for something. However, we bear absolutely no harm to you or anybody else that's in the village, unless harm comes to us. But really, we bear no harm to you.
Okay. The toucan looks at you, doesn't fly away, but it seems to just continue to listen.
So, is there anything that we can do to help you? Do you need help from us? Because we are looking for this thing, but we are also here. We are people that could offer you some type of help if you need it.
Make one more persuasion check.
I'm going to roll this. It's a plus 4. Oh, 18, 22.
As you say this, the toucan gives sort of a squawk. And while it doesn't come across to you as words, well, let me put it this way. It doesn't seem to you as if the toucan is speaking to you. It's almost like you caught the toucan talking to itself or thinking out loud. Because as it flaps its wings and flies away, which it does in response to your words, flies over your head and west towards the upriver side of the village. You swear you hear it say something like, "This could be it."
Cool.
Okay. Is my flitty little bird still around?
No, the nuthatch is gone.
Okay.
And we didn't hear this.
No.
Right? This would
But I
only
come
be
out of
in
beast
direct
sense because
communication.
that's probably all I got for beast sense here. But I come out of beast sense and I say, there's something going on here, you guys. These people are here. There's somebody in here that needs our help. For real. They need our help. They need our help to break what's ever going on here.
And I would say that Pando shares as well what she is feeling, but doesn't want to leave where they are because she hears the commotion of Potom and suddenly digging inside the building.
Digging.
But
She's like Freya, Potom's digging.
He's
and we're like, oh
digging?
God, Potom's
Yeah.
digging.
But I do share with them, like, look, I don't know what is upriver, but there's something that I'm going to need to go to at some point. Putting a pin in that for right now, because dirt's flying.
So back inside the building, back at the ranch, the exocomp has gently but intentionally removed the planks that are on top of the stage and cleared an area large enough that you can begin to excavate.
Bottom has the wood nicely stacked next to one of the pews.
Very nice, very nice.
It is how do I do this? I need to think about the mechanics of this.
Ooh. Can we call a break before we get into?
Yeah, we can
You're
call a
running
break.
really
That's
fast,
good
like
because
you.
I need to do some research. We're back. So, as the exocomp, which I'm assuming has some sort of like a spade attachment, maybe.
Yeah, of course he does, and a pry bar. You know,
As the exocomp
he just has them like attached to him.
presses into the dirt for the first time, almost immediately, you get an error message from the exocomp, and there is a sound and a reaction that you did not expect. Because as the spade chops down at what looks like a dirt floor, it stops immediately. And only a short time later, you realize, at the same time as the exocomp, that what you are seeing here is not a dirt floor, but rather an illusion that is concealing.
Knew it.
That is concealing something else. And as soon as you recognize the illusion and fully sort of disbelieve it, you're able to see past it. And what you see beneath the illusion is about the size of this table, so sort of like a 4 foot by 8 foot iron door set into the ground, like an iron trap door, riveted and embedded into the floor here. And obviously the exocomp spade is not going to do anything to that.
Mm-hmm.
There is no obvious handle out here, but there is a keyhole, dead center, largish.
Got any lockpicking tools?
Well, I do, but I think that the more experienced person with lockpicking would be Air.
Air, who's been quietly observing for much of this evening,
Hugging everyone at
provi-
her will.
just sort of quietly observing and handing out hugs.
Little walking of the fingers across the shoulder.
Steps up to your side, drapes herself over your shoulder, and kind of nuzzles up to you, and says, "So what are we looking at?"
Well, I would imagine that is our way in. So either we pick it, or we gotta find the key.
That dirt floor?
Nah.
Yes.
So Air with your attitude.
So Air.
It looks like a dirt floor, and then all of a sudden, Potham becomes a mansplainer.
Oh, I like that. I like that very much. Well, sweetie.
What you don't understand is that you don't see that this isn't a dirt floor.
You see magic. Excellent. So, after a short explanation, you're able to help Air to also disbelieve the illusion.
While I'm doing that, I help everyone disbelieve the illusion.
Okay, so you're going to poke outside and reconnect with the other members of your party.
Are you all done with your
For now.
hocus pocus? Because I got some science to show you.
Oh, golly.
I'm telling you, the owls are not what they seem.
Frey's just yelling about it.
All right, princess. Got it. The trees are
No one has
talking now.
seen an owl this whole journey.
It's really funny because we're in a
Frey's
bunch
like,
of
the owls!
which is really funny because we're in a whole nerd church and nobody knows Twin Peaks. I'm a David Lynch original fan.
Okay,
Oh, that's fun.
so... Air, because she's smart, is going to check for traps before she starts putzing with this big hidden door.
But roll your eyes first.
You guys are idiots.
It's a natty
God,
one.
I'm hearing so much.
If anyone wants to come see the natty one,
That never happens with that die. And I watched it walk all the way
That
over there.
never
Usually-
happens with that
this
guy.
is
That-
proof.
You usually like plant it, and it doesn't go anywhere. It just plants. It's like this is what I meant to land on,
So
and it's a natty 20 every
It's a
time.
natty 20 every
I have two
time.
different
Now
rolls.
you're dead.
One's for monsters.
Right.
That
One's
sits
for
still.
us.
And then I have a different twist of my wrist when I roll for you guys.
And that's how you die by rats.
Air turns back. Air turns back to Potham and says, "It's all clear."
Well, that's good.
And then she stretches and cracks her knuckles and gets her lockpicks out and digs in.
Oh my god.
Bottom's just going to say to nobody. He's going to visually turn to the side and be like, "You think the spade would have given it away?"
As soon as her lockpick enters the keyhole, there is a bright flash
Oh, boy.
and the smell of ozone. And her hand seems to be launched back behind her as her whole body...
Still attached?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But
Sorry, Air, we lost you an arm.
but it moves back so fast that it looks like it's out of her control.
Oh, wow.
Her whole body just spasms as she is electrocuted. And only suffers 2 points of
Okay.
damage. However, almost immediately she turns and looks at you, Potham, with blame in her eyes, possibly unfairly, and says, "I don't think we're getting in this way."
Or there's a key somewhere.
So Freya would really, guys, I really think that we should, that toucan, I think we should follow that toucan.
What toucan are you talking about?
So I had a toucan, I made
The owls!
The owls are not what they seem, guys. The owls are not what they seem. So, the toucan went toward the boathouse. Was it the boathouse that the toucan flew toward?
It did fly in the direction of the lake
Okay.
and also towards the longhouse. Yeah.
Yeah. I think we gotta go over to that longhouse. Seriously. Maybe there's a key over there, but I also think that there's something we can talk to over there. Or something.
I mean,
way we
I'm
can
out of
access
options here in this physical space of what I can offer.
that. Potham, I think that we have to go another way.
Compromise. And if Air was here, she'd be like, "You guys split the party? You guys take the communicator with you. And I stay here and figure out how to get through this door, because we're going to get through this door."
I think that the way through the door may be in the longhouse.
But then we're looking at two options. Okay, so we have the communicator.
Yeah. Let me switch that over.
Air, do you want to stay here with Potham?
Oh, I'm taking it off of your +1 weapon.
Yeah, somebody better
Wait,
keep
what?
an eye on
I'm
him.
gonna,
Take off my
Hug for the road?
Fine.
So if
snuggle
you still
for
have
the
that
road.
attached.
Where's it attached?
Bring it in,
I,
bestie.
Which weapon did we put in?
Someday, Air.
No, I don't
Seven?
think. No, I took that off.
Oh.
I always think of like
No, I
Elf
took that off.
when he first meets his dad and he like goes to hold his hand as they're walking out of jail, and like Panda just doing that to Air one day, and her like,
Put a bunch of maple syrup.
Okay. So you guys have the sending stone.
yep.
All right, we're splitting the party.
That almost never goes well, but I do agree that I don't have anything to offer here, so I'm happy to go
I really
explore
think
the other
that we
option.
can go over there.
I love the boldness.
I always love to split the party. So dangerous.
Well, in like Panda, as much as she wants to like help here, like she's being called massively to everything that's outside.
Andrea's like, hey, there's something there. Come on, let's do this.
Yeah.
To be clear, Pando's being called in the opposite direction.
I know, but it's still outside
Sure.
where all the animals are,
Yeah.
and so she's just gonna be paying attention and trying to figure some things out.
Also, this
Yeah,
apricot mead,
Very tasty.
holy cow.
Can I send a picture to Matt?
It's so good.
So
Yeah, let's
I
cheers
love
it.
apricots.
Yes.
They're,
let me-
it's
I'm gonna
one of
send
my
it.
favorite flavors.
party
More in
picture
here.
with you guys
And then
cheersing
we'll-
it. One. You want to hold it up, Alex, so that he can see it. That little bottle. 1, 2, 3. So he participates heavily in our D&D nights because as I go, he's like,
This is.
I have a flavor for you guys this week. And he goes down because we have
Oh, yeah.
subscriptions, so our basement is all we need. And he's like, I have a for you guys this week.
I was just gonna say it does taste like you put a whole bunch of dried apricots in your mouth and chew them.
Yeah,
It does.
It's
it's
good.
very much my jam. And I
like
mean
that.
that in the punniest way possible
Mhm.
because
You love
the
apricot
only preserves I buy are
Yeah.
apricot
Oh,
preserves. So
I
like
love that.
every English muffin that I eat is drenched
Brilliant.
in apricot
That's
jam.
brilliant.
Toast, like it's the only one kind I buy, and this tastes just like it. It's scary. Okay, so Air is staying with Potom. Freya and Pando are heading out and heading downhill towards the lake and the longhouse. As you approach the longhouse, so first of all, it's getting to be mid-afternoon at this point. You can see the sun has made its way across the sky, and the shadows are lengthening slightly. There is a long set of steps that leads down the hill and then out over the water onto the piers that make up a good half of the village itself. So, like the lake town of Tolkien's world, this is an extensive part of the village. There are dozens of homes out here resting atop stilted piers with other docks beneath each of them, a little set of stairs leading down to perhaps a skiff or a kayak or a small fishing boat. But dominating this pier side of the village is this longhouse. Similar in scale probably to the community building, but rather than circular, this is like a big rectangle that extends over actually 2 piers. So the primary structure of this village out over the lake is 2 big piers that jut out from the central island. And there are little bridges from time to time that extend beyond them. They're almost like 2 highways or 2 main roads that go out. And then there are little cross streets all the way along. And then other smaller piers that jut outwards from these 2 main roads. But the longhouse is at the end of these 2 main roads, and it spans the both of them. So it is both bridge and covered area, and it's a good 100 feet long, probably. So this is a big.
Yeah.
This is like a warehouse kind of a
Okay.
deal. As you get closer, you see that it is. You can kind of see around that it is open on the sides. So this is actually also like a boathouse. So this is a place where many of the larger vessels of this lake community, the sort of bigger fishing and what you come to realize are farming, not fishing, but farming boats, because they are harvesting the fruit from the floating trees, are harbored here in this longhouse. And again, like the rest of the village, it is empty of people. And as you approach, there are some birds in the rafters. There's a monkey kind of screams at you and runs across the roof of the longhouse away from you. You see fish and maybe something larger kind of swimming away as you approach. So there's plenty of wildlife and activity around here, but no people anywhere. And as you step closer and look into this longhouse, you can see it is a big, long building that at a glance seems to serve as both a primary docking space for some of these mid-size or larger boats, but also there's a fair amount of room inside that serves as it looks like a processing area for both fish and fruits. So one side of it seems to be largely dedicated to fish, where the boats are obviously fishing boats and the smell of fish is pretty strong. And there are actually large baskets of fish, fish packed in leaves and possibly salt, tucked away in parts here. Nets laced up on the walls, boats that look newly scrubbed but recently used, floating there at anchor. And the other side seems dedicated to these, again, boats that you realize fairly quickly, you translate fairly quickly, are fruit harvesting boats, because almost in mirror image on the other side, there are these large crates overflowing with, or stacked high with, I should say, some of the fruits that you recognize from the floating trees that you saw out on the lake. And these boats are a little different than the others. There are no nets. There are large sort of crates lined up on the deck of these boats. They're broader and flatter, almost barge-like. And they obviously have a number of places where they could tie up to these huge floating root structures, and even have a number of ladders attached to the sides of them. So it's clear that this is a sort of an industrial center for this village where different kinds of foods are gathered. And closest to the entrance that you step into as you come to the longhouse, you see a stretch of what look like essentially market stalls. So clearly this is obviously also a center of commerce.
Is Nibs here?
You don't see Nibs. Don't
just
see Nibs
joking.
yet. But there are a few market stalls here where clearly fish and fruit and maybe other things are sold. But no people.
But animals.
Do I see my toucan?
Make a perception check.
8.
You scan the rafters and do not see any sign of your toucan or any toucan inside the building.
The owls are gone. Panda being connected to the wild and connected to nature, would she be able to tell, like if she tuned into nature, if these animals were once people? It has a real vibe of like, they either got like disappeared or like turned into a bunch of animals.
Do they feel like they're supposed to be what they are?
Right. Like, does something feel like they aren't what they appear?
You can make a nature check.
21.
I think with a 21, what Pando notices is similar to what you noticed in the past, but it's maybe reinforced, which is that the animals here, they certainly seem like animals.
Okay.
And you don't sense anything unnatural about these creatures. But their behavior is odd. They seem to be I can't give you more than this. Their behavior is just slightly less risk averse than you would expect from purely wild animals.
Okay.
There's
a curiosity?
Yeah, or a slight lingering before they scamper off.
Okay.
Right? Whereas truly wild creatures,
Yeah.
if they weren't vibing with you,
Right.
like you have experienced at some time, would just bolt.
Right.
And some of these animals are hesitating a moment as if to observe you before
Me
bolting.
solely or our group?
No, the group, the people.
So is it fair to say I might get a sense that they have a level of intelligence and understanding of like the situation in this space? Not to that extent.
I don't think I could say that Panda
Okay.
picks up on that. I'm not confirming or denying that.
But what Panda
But
would...
that's not an interpretation that Panda would come to.
Okay.
I think what Panda would feel is they're not reacting like wild creatures.
Yeah.
Like I would expect wild creatures to react.
Yeah.
They are eventually
Yeah.
doing what I would expect.
Mm-hmm.
But there's almost like a brief delay, and then they do.
Forgive me. Can I turn into a bird yet?
No.
No. But I can swim, right?
You can turn
But-
into a swimming
but not
creature now,
bird,
but
fly.
not a flying creature.
So
Find a way to commit that.
Freya's gonna try something. She's going down. Just gonna sit on the dock. She's just gonna sit down, and she's gonna hold her hands out. And she's just gonna kind of say, "Is there anyone here? Can we talk to anybody here? Is anybody willing?"
Okay.
I got no other ideas of how we can explore this vicinity other than leaving it entirely, which might not even be connected to this, and going upriver.
What are you doing while she does this?
That was me. I was making a Discord. For everybody.
Okay, so she's doing that. I mean, we're looking for a way into that space, so I guess I would just... I don't know, maybe walk back toward the space and try to, like, see if there's anything else interesting between, not necessarily leave her, but, like, start walking in that direction to see if there's anything else calling us in this village or that could offer a solution. Because I got nothing in terms of, like, what Pando's education and experiences are going to offer.
Okay. So we're going to hit pause there while you try to project
Anything.
peace and
You know?
welcome and
Yeah.
see if anyone will approach
Yeah.
you, and while you kind of wander the village a bit and see what else you can engage with.
Trying to stay focused in helping the party, but, like, very distracted by what I really want to go and check out.
Fair. Back to Potom and Air, who are still staring at this door.
Maybe if I'm dropped from, well, I wouldn't say a considerable height, but maybe just a little height, and I do this, and Potom, I've been waiting to do this for a really long time, and it hasn't happened. Potom shakes his shield, and all of these doors just pop open. And he's like, if I use this, maybe I can reset the magic in the door. And so he instructs his exocomp to hold him 3 feet, 4 feet. As he's holding above, he's like, maybe just a little higher. And to drop him onto the door, shield first, and we're going to cast Absorb Elements.
Okay. All right.
It's called the Deflector Shield. I mean, 2 seasons I've been holding on to that. 2 seasons. I've had that since day 1. I haven't had magic shot at me once.
I just want you to know. I want the rest of the party and our vast audience of listeners to know that every time you pull this shit, I add a hit die to a boss fight. every time. And sometimes that's not a big deal, because sometimes the monster has like 10d6 hit dice and another d6, maybe it's 3-4 hit points. But sometimes the monster has a d12 hit dice. And you pull this 3-4 times before you get to the boss.
You like it.
I just want you to know mechanically how this works. That's all. I'm not saying I like or dislike it, but those are the rules of my campaign.
What do I do
I'm
that
weaving
causes...
this in beautifully.
What do I do that
Never
causes
expected.
additional difficulty?
You're fine.
Okay. I don't want us to compound. I want us to do one or the other if we're doing it together.
This is why the book was on a tomb. All right. So.
Oh my god.
All right. So the exocomp lifts you up.
Yep.
And lets you go. And you fall. And you hit this iron door with a not insignificant gong sound. And you cast Absorb Elements. There's nothing to absorb. Because you impacting the door does not set off a trap or create any kind of reaction other than a loud metallic clanging noise.
I've had better ideas.
It was worth a try.
This is when Air speaks up
Yeah, of course.
and
it is.
says, "It was really more when I was messing with the lock that was the problem. It's a magic lock, Pot."
Right, I guess I was trying to hit the lock the last time. Not,
So it's
not
a
considerably
magic.
hurt. We could try it again.
I mean, I'm a little concerned
No, you're right.
about the noise because we don't know what's in there, and
I have an idea of what's
we're
in
not
there.
great at stealth in general, to be honest, but we're really effing up the stealth right now. And we split the party.
And Freya's
So,
not even here.
You just rang the doorbell,
Yeah.
and our dragonborn is, I don't know,
I feel
somewhere
like
else.
Freya and Panda were like, what was that?
Oh yeah, you.
Fair enough.
Oh, and to be clear, you heard it. Birds took off.
Freya's like,
Monkeys.
"My bird!
Monkeys chattered.
That was everything I was working for.
Oh my god, all I'm
The
trying to
bird
do is
came
talk to an
close
animal
and then
here.
immediately took off.
Goddamn science.
Adam!
Science is loud.
Oh my golly.
Science can be loud.
Well, the only other... other than what you suggest, that we look for another door, let's look for another door or a key.
Okay.
You come by Freya?
Oh, I guess I'm going to start in the vicinity of, we're turning over rocks just outside the door.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. See
Um,
if it's one of those ones from the 80s.
Yeah.
The Heidi key.
The Heidi key,
Heidi key.
1995.
Yeah.
COD accepted.
If you'd like to get into Eric Wagner's house, he's got like 6 of them outside of his house.
I bet. All right. Air rolled an investigation check. She rolled very well. Do you want to roll an investigation check?
I do want to roll an investigation check, looking for those 2 things that I was looking for. 19. Is that what that is? Yeah.
It's also very good. The two of you sort of quarter the grounds inside this building and for 20 yards or so around it, and do not find any hint of a key or another entrance or any other sort of illusion concealing something else come up empty. At this point, it's getting to be later afternoon. The sun is getting lower in the sky. In about an hour, it'll probably peek behind the trees. And you'll be not in at night, but in shadow, let's say.
Okay.
Can I ask a clarifying
Go for it.
question? I think I know the answer, but I want it said to me. I can't use a spell that I didn't prepare before I came to this game, right?
Correct.
Correct. Okay.
You can reset your you can choose different spells on a long rest.
Fair. I wasn't sure if it was short, long, big game.
I want to know what's going on around me. Are there any monkeys? Any cats? Anything else going on? I know I didn't see my toucan, but what else is chittering around me?
I would like, so let's go back to your tactic here. I'd like Freya to make a
Animal handling?
animal handling or persuasion check.
Oh, we'll go with animal handling.
We're gonna see how
Come
how well
on.
you position yourself at peace here in this longhouse and try to get critters to approach you.
19, animal handling.
All right. So everybody else disappears and goes off to do their thing, and you are at last left alone in this relatively quiet space in the longhouse. And you just still yourself and again kind of meditate, but you put this vibe out into the world of like, it's safe, I'm here, is anybody here, what's up? And a significant amount of time passes. You hang out in this longhouse for 30, 45 minutes, and you start to hear the sounds of creatures here and there. Maybe it's a monkey skittering across the roof. Maybe it's whatever kind of squirrels live in the jungle. I don't know. A large fish swims underneath you, or maybe a turtle or something splashes nearby. And rather than react, you remain patient and you wait. After an hour, maybe an hour and 15 minutes, you sort of drift for a moment, and then you open your eyes, and standing right in front of you on the boardwalk is a very large, very bristly boar with big tusks that look sharp and dangerous. It's probably about 15 feet from you. And it's just looking at you. And as your sort of warrior instincts react to this, as you sense the danger that this creature carries with it, out of the corner of your eye, you catch sight of a brightly colored, almost rainbow colored beak. And the toucan that you saw earlier is up beyond this boar in the rafters, about 45, 50 feet away, looking at you. What do you do?
I'm going to reach out my hand, and I'm going to slowly move toward the boar to see if the boar will touch my hand.
Make an animal handling check.
I had a 19 before. I just have a bad feeling about it.
It's a bold move. Risk reward.
12.
You stand. And as you stand, you don't get a reaction. But as you extend your hand and take a step towards the boar, you hear a and its head lowers and it paws at the ground.
I hold my hand out and I put my head down.
You sometimes have to expose your belly.
Mm-hmm.
The boar continues to paw at the ground, but it does not move.
I'm going to, with my head down and my hand out, I'm going to slowly walk toward the boar.
Make an animal handling check.
Mother of God. 11. No, come on! Come on! This is such a good strategy! I have something in my back pocket here.
The boar
Okay.
charges. Its tusks glinting in the little slits of sunlight still coming down through the roof of this longhouse. It slashes at you, but it rolls only a 7 to attack, and so it misses. You're able to leap to the side, and the boar charges past you, and it takes about 10 feet for it to kind of check its momentum and turn and face you again. In that moment, it is your action.
I'm going down on my knees with my head down, and I'm putting my hand out.
Okay.
You're like, what?
I thought you were going to cast that.
No, I can't
Oh.
because
Did you out of spell spots?
no, because I have to do that.
Oh.
She can only cast it as a ritual.
No,
No,
I
no, no.
can't. It's a different spell. I can only cast it if I can frickin' touch the animal.
Oh, okay. The boar attacks you again.
Bleakin'.
That's a 12 to hit.
No, a 15.
That does not hit. Okay. So as the boar charges up to you, you're not armored, right?
No.
No.
So
you
her armor.
Yeah, but you're able to, as the boar approaches, even though you're down low, you're able to sort of knock it to the side, and its tusks do not make contact with you.
Okay.
And once again, Russia's about 10 feet past you as it
Ugh.
checks its momentum and turns.
Why didn't you cast it when you deflected it?
When I hit it on there,
Yeah, you
well,
touched it.
I guess I did touch it. When I touched it, I would like to cast Beast Sense.
Okay, tell me more about that.
So
thing.
Beast Sense. Here's the problem. You have to. Oh, see, I can't because it has to be a willing beast. You have to touch a willing beast.
Oh.
So that's not
A beast you're in active combat with
No, it's
Will
not
will not
willing.
qualify as a willing beast. Yeah.
That's why I keep offering myself to it.
Mhm.
I say, okay,
Just lay down and
what's the
surrender.
what's the
Let it
toucan
come and
doing?
smell you.
Yeah, right. Expose my belly.
Expose your belly.
Seems like a great idea at this time. What's the toucan doing?
The toucan has flown off.
Pando yells from outside, I see your bird!
Thanks, Pando! Thank you, Pando!
So useful.
You know what, this is...
Like the squirrel scene in National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation.
So, you know what? I'm going to try one more time. I'm down on my knees.
Okay.
My hand is out.
Make an animal handling check at disadvantage.
Mother of mercy. A 1. I don't even have to
Natty
roll
one.
again.
Natty one. Oh,
You
want my sticker?
I might need it.
That's a 20.
What? I rolled a 1 and it rolled a 20.
Not a natural 20.
Okay, but still.
Statistically, that'd be crazy.
A dirty 20.
A dirty 20.
Dirty 20.
You will take 10 points of slashing damage
That's
as its
fine.
tusks gore you and knock you to the ground.
Owie.
You are prone and you are cut up, and the boar has rolled on past you and is now turning again.
Back toward me. All right, I'm gonna rage. Here I rage. Hold up. Let me rage.
Remember that episode when Freya punched a boar in the face?
I was just gonna tell that story about how I had that horrible dream when I had to punch a fish in the face. It was the worst dream I've ever had. It was terrifying beyond belief. I was whimpering in my sleep, and Dan woke me up, and I said it's too horrible to
That was
talk about.
punching a fish.
I had to punch a fish. Okay.
We're going to pause the combat here because at this point, I think, Pando, for sure, you would have
But I
heard
can do this.
this commotion and had
Yeah.
a chance to react to it. So something's clearly happening in
Yeah.
the longhouse. It's not, no one's meditating in there
Me
anymore.
being guard.
I think very naively, at first, I was like, there's your bird. Not realizing she was being attacked.
Oh, how majestic.
I'm like,
Just love when they float. What's happening in there?
yes.
Yeah.
So, I would say Panda wild shapes into a bear and runs in, because she doesn't know what she's about to see.
Okay.
That's awesome. It's Freya the bear.
Okay. Just a very specific point of order.
Yeah.
Does Pando wild shape into the bear outside the longhouse?
Yeah,
Or does she run into the longhouse and then wild shape into a bear?
I think she... It's a bird. Hears commotion, realizes Freya is alone, and wild shapes into a bear and runs.
Okay.
Almost like in Twilight when they turn into the werewolf and like the clothes
Oh,
shred
yeah.
and they run.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Mid-run, wild shape.
Right.
All right. So this brown bear, right? Brown bear comes charging into the
Pull up the
longhouse.
stats. I just don't
And
remember.
I think you run into the longhouse right about the moment that Freya is gored and bowled over by this boar,
I'm still like, I'm just trying to be a friend.
who is charging toward, then continuing his charge towards you as you march in. But as soon as the boar sees you, this bear, it sort of stops its momentum very quickly, and then rather than turn and attack, it peels off to the right. So remember, there's sort of these two highways, sort of piers. You're on the, from the boar's perspective, you all are sitting on the leftmost one, facing back up towards the village. It peels off to the right, and then it runs out of the longhouse and back up the pier towards the village.
Okay.
So it has retreated
Okay.
in the face of you, a brown bear. And you are now...
Panda does a little...
Yeah.
and,
Raging.
and you are now facing a raging Freya, who has just pulled herself up bloody from the ground from this encounter.
Smashing pumpkins. And they're just around her. She's like, 1979.
I love to eat pumpkins, though. Okay.
I can't talk in wild shape, so I'm just kind of taking it all in. Can I talk in wild shape? I have never read
Don't-
anything that said I could.
I don't think
Oh,
so.
that'd be so
That doesn't
nice.
seem like a thing.
Okay. I've never seen anything that said I could. But
Just imagine that this opens a whole
Yeah, if you were...
file of ways that you
If you're in a
communicate.
form that's physically capable of doing so, you could. So if you were like a parrot,
Right.
then maybe.
Okay.
But no.
Okay.
broken.
You could growl.
Well, I'm just looking around like,
You need
what
those
the
buttons.
F just happened? Yes. Safe.
Stranger man. Stranger man. Where?
We need more buttons for Pando, you guys.
That's right.
The buttons are so limited.
And really scary.
Also, why we had 2 buttons and we came up with stranger and man?
Smells.
Or I love the ones where they put the bitch in there.
Yes. Yes.
How are you? Good, bitch. Bitch.
Bitch.
Bitch.
The videos where like the owners are like, "No, you've already eaten," because the cat's like, "Food."
Yeah.
And it
Angry.
goes, angry. Bitch. Angry. Bitch.
Okay.
pretty good.
Well, so that thing jumped off. Pando's there. You know what Freya's gonna do? She's gonna drop all of the weapons that she has, except for her battle axe. Oh no, sorry, the Morning Star. And she runs straight off the pier and dives into the water.
Okay. All right.
And it goes, "Arr!"
Yeah. There we go.
I want
So-
you to drop me 4 feet above this door.
I mean, hey, this is D&D. We're living it. We're living
The
it.
Knox siblings are definitely pulling out some good ones this evening.
Yep. All right. You come bumbling in or trundling in as a bear. Scare this boar off. The slightly bloodied Freya gets up, looks at you, strips off about 40 pounds of metal, and then just turns and jumps in the lake.
Okay. I think Panda just kind of goes, and then goes and maybe picks up as much armor as she can with her mouth and starts walking it out like,
All right, Freya,
darkness.
you're in the lake. What's up? What are you
I'm
doing?
swimming straight toward that tree.
Oh, one of the floating trees?
Oh yeah, heck yeah.
Okay. So there's 6 or 7 of them
Yeah.
out there, but you can swim towards the nearest one
Yeah.
for sure.
No, that's what I'm doing. With my tail in the water like an alligator.
Oh, that's creepy.
It's
I hate
really
it.
cool.
I hate it. Yeah, this makes me very uncomfortable. But that's great. You swim powerfully towards one of those trees. Let's jump back to Potom, the Exocomp, and Air. Having not found any additional entrances, keys, any new information here, I think Air probably looks at you and says, maybe we should go see what the girls are up to.
Well, I guess. I mean, I'm really... It's been a long time since I've been stumped like this, and I have no idea what to do.
Well,
Which scares me because I have theories on what's going on.
maybe we should put our heads together and you could share some of those theories with the group, because I have no idea. But I don't see anything to loot around here that's not hidden behind a magic lock.
and Pando, I don't think, like, Courtney has the information. I don't think Pando has the information that that's a magic lock. And there are a couple spells that if we took a short rest I could potentially learn. They might be beneficial, they might not. But I don't know that information yet. I don't think I've learned that that's a magic lock.
No, that was discovered after you all
Yeah.
ran off. So, other than your swimmer, you all could circle back up at
Yeah.
this point
I think that's
and
the
compare
plan.
notes. Freya, it doesn't take you that long to reach one of these floating trees. This one is a this one is a fruit tree that appears to be sort of early season. So about half the tree is still covered in these big white flowers. These flowers are dinner plate size, but they have long sort of they're very very long draping sort of petals. that this sounds weird, but they almost look like lizard tongues in shape. Like they start out really fat, and then they get
Fork.
they get longer and longer, they get narrow, and then they also fork at the end. But they are a bright white, and the center, the pestle, is that what's in the middle there?
Or is it stylus? Pestils are the things that stick up out of the stylus.
I don't know.
Okay.
Whatever's in the middle of the flower that's not the petals.
Stamen.
Stamen, maybe. Anyway, that is a like flame red. So that's the color of these and the look of these flowers. About half the tree is still in flower like this, but the flowers are clearly sort of towards the end of their cycle and the ones that have been pollinated have started to close and twist up. And what's interesting is you can see some of those here too. All of those sort of tongue-shaped petals have folded up and twisted around each other in those, and they form this fruit. And the fruit is also pretty prominent on this tree. So about half of these are now fruited. The fruits are odd, very odd looking, because the outside of them looks almost like leather. So it looks like the equivalent of if someone made a stylized fruit out of colorful leather strips and kind of wove it together. You don't see any stitching, obviously, because there's none there. But the outside of the fruit is leathery like that. But it is sort of a bright, vibrant striping of sort of a burgundy red and a deep purple. And each of these is probably the size of a watermelon. They're big. And then there are one or two that have clearly reached ripeness very early, that are lying on there's no ground here, but are lying among the roots on this sort of floating root ball island. And you can see where they fell, they sort of partially split open, and there's a bright, almost wine-colored juice sort of flowing out of them, or has dribbled out of them onto these. And the smell near those is I'm going to describe it as almost a meaty sweetness. So not fruity in a traditional sense, right? But like awful or
what are those?
sweetmeats.
Ginkgo, like ginkgo fruit. Have you heard what ginkgo fruit tastes like? It's almost sort of like a rotting sort of smell of horridness.
Ooh.
You know, they're very ancient trees.
Yeah.
And but yeah,
there's a slight vibe to that. It's not unappetizing. It doesn't smell like rotting, but it smells almost meaty.
Okay.
But sweet.
Gamey.
Yeah, that's a good description.
Okay.
A slight gaminess to it. So that's what, as you pull yourself up onto this sort of floating root island.
This fruit's been eating trash. City trash.
Trash panda
Is there a
fruit.
fruit that's close by that I could pluck?
Yeah, I mean one one that's still on the tree.
Or one on the
There's
ground?
a fallen one near to you,
Yeah,
sure.
yeah. Could I pick it up and just see what it's like?
Yeah. So it's heavy. The one that you pick up off the ground is squishier than you expected.
The juicy ones.
Yeah. So there's a lot of give to it, and as you pick it up, a lot of juice flows out.
Yeah.
This is a really saturated fruit. It's got the same feel as if you picked up a full-size watermelon,
Okay.
but it feels more like a leather sack full of smashed up watermelon. That's the feel of it. And the smell is powerful. But it doesn't smell unappetizing, especially to you. I mean, you're a meat eater.
Well, I would like to take a bite of it. I'd like to try some.
Okay. Yeah, you take a big chomp. The skin is not good. you realize pretty quickly this is
That
probably
I
not.
should have peeled it back.
This is probably not a fruit where you eat the skin. It's bitter
Biting a pineapple.
and very tough. But maybe it's the equivalent of biting a mango, probably.
Okay.
Where you go, oh, I wasn't supposed to do this.
Yeah.
You get a rash in your
that's-
mouth.
Right.
Yeah, that's tough.
yeah.
It is actually genetically related to poison ivy.
Is
The
it
skin,
Oh, really?
And the skin of a mango. So if you kids, you can have a reaction to the skin of a mango.
I
That
had
That
a
is like a
reaction
poison ivy.
like poison
Yeah.
ivy to the butter mangoes that
Okay.
they have.
It is
Bad
because
news.
it
I
is
eat mangoes
genetically
all the
related
time.
to
Yeah,
poison
that
ivy.
is so
Oddly,
good.
anyway.
That one.
And also the peach hairs, you're not supposed to lick the peach hairs.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
That's my favorite part.
definitely not.
Yeah.
Licking the peach hair.
Don't lick the
I was
peach
I
hairs.
was a little kid.
I will eat a kiwi like it's.
Oh yeah, you
an
can do
apple.
that for
That
sure.
doesn't bother me.
Yeah.
Really?
Me
Yeah.
either.
It was.
With the hairy skin?
Yeah.
I was do
You
that
can
with the
totally
Touching
soft
it makes
boiled.
me like.
Mm. Yeah, I like the kiwi skin. Well, usually what I do is I'll cut it into slices, but I just don't skin it first.
Uh-huh.
And so then so maybe closer to like I don't know, what other fruits do you eat like that?
You're like
Or
the
just leave
you're
the
like
skin
the
on, like a
kid
tangerine or
in
whatever.
the never-ending story who eats the core of the apple while he's reading the book.
Oh, see, I can't do that. I've
Yeah,
wanted
no,
to.
it
I
makes
want to be
me-
that kid.
Makes me
Oh,
freak
Because
out a little bit.
because I'm like,
Straight
well,
up,
why wouldn't I
eat the
eat that? There's
core.
nothing wrong with that.
No,
But I can't
I
bring
like
myself to
eat
do
the
Yeah,
it.
no,
core.
I just can't.
I like it.
It's a texture thing.
It freaks me out.
No. It's not
It's-
bad, guys. It's,
No.
it's a little bit of
How about we just
arsenic, and that's
chomp
cool.
on
It's
some
like it's
fingers?
iocane powder. It's
Right.
odorless, tasteless, but you can build up a resistance to it.
I digress.
The inside, you really like.
Yeah.
And I guess what I would say is, again, the texture, it almost immediately strikes you that this is probably a fruit that's used to make juice or wine.
Okay.
That this isn't probably the kind of fruit that people sit around and eat, but that it's probably meant to be juiced.
Ah.
But you like the
Pomegranate.
inside. You like the inside.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. That's cool. Do I see any animals?
I'd love to punch a fish.
I want to punch it.
A
I
fish with
don't
really
like
big
them.
lips swims right up underneath you.
It's crazy, like a grouper coming straight for you in a terrifying way, and you gotta
But it
go.
has a hit me face, like a Chicago Bears fan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a fish with a big meaty face.
Yeah. It does. It has those cheeks.
We won the Super Bowl in 1985.
Want to hear the shuffle?
The bears.
Yeah. There's a couple monkeys in the tree.
Hold my hand out to a monkey. Anybody like to boop a cat? To boop a cat.
All right. Make an animal handling check.
No.
That's how this works. You don't get to just say I boop a monkey.
I know. I want to boop
wanna
a
boop a
monkey.
monkey.
You are a silver dragonborn
But I can't
who
boop a
just
monkey.
swam to a big tree, pulled herself out of the water,
Ate some
and,
I
fruit.
tried to
Ate
boop
some
a
fruit.
monkey.
and then
Punched a
went,
fish.
"Hey,
booped a
monkey!"
monkey.
Boop.
to a wild monkey.
Stop it.
And you're pissed like your own house cat didn't come to you. Goddamn wild monkeys. Why don't they let me boop them?
That cat June, she just won't
So
give
rude.
me anything.
Just want to love her.
Pretty.
Sadly, neither of the monkeys come down to boop you.
I know that this goes against popular opinion, but can we put a ending time on this? Because I'm fading a little bit.
Yeah, of course.
I've been
course we
fading
can.
for an hour. I turned
no,
into a pumpkin so early. I'm like,
Oh, I'm not tired. I'm just.
Sorry, guys. Okay.
It's okay. It's
Freya
all good.
will eventually stop trying to handle animals.
you shouldn't have to stop the fun.
So, at this point,
I think that I'm going to use the sending stone. We'll just say that Freya's got it.
I think at this point the group gathers back together.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Call it Freya. in.
And as you regroup in sort of the center of the village, you compare notes, and Air kind of summarizes. So we have an abandoned village that doesn't feel abandoned. We have critters running around like this is a wild space, even though there's obviously been people here recently, or it seems like there has.
And it's not messed up like it's a wild space, right? Like
Right.
if there were actually wild animals doing wild things, it
Yeah.
would be in much more
Monkeys
shape.
aren't pooping on the dinner table.
Mm-hmm.
So there's some contradiction there. You said the animals are acting slightly strange.
Mm-hmm.
A warthog attacked you in the longhouse. What is a warthog doing here?
Right.
And we've got a secret door with an arcane lock that we can't get through, or at least we haven't been able to yet. And nobody's here. But obviously the thing we're looking for is here. So,
I feel like I have seen some of this before. When I was initially doing my experiments on my, what do we call it, technology, I saw these monoliths before, and I think, if I had to guess, that they came close and they tore a hole between our plane and another plane, and that caused things to leak through.
What do you think is leaking?
It's, I guess, look around. It's that spicy feeling in nature that we that you felt the other day, and clearly we are sensing something that isn't right, but it is in front of us. I feel like what powers the energy that powers my batteries is this rip, but in controlled doses.
Okay.
If they ripped the planes open and energy was able to pass back and forth, then we would see wild things that we've never seen before, like trees that float on their own.
Or trees that come alive with purple goo?
Or trees that come alive with purple goo. Exactly. Now, I mean, all I have is my knowledge, and I don't believe that I've come across trees that walk on their own before. And I think what has happened is that that they got close, and I think that it is locked behind that door.
Do you want to still open the door?
Unless we can find, as Air suggested, another way through. A back door.
Another area that might be powerful?
Maybe it is just that. Maybe it's that hut over there, as I originally had said. We were distracted by this
Right.
door.
I mean, the signal took us here,
Of course, yes.
right?
Which just means that what we're searching for is my beacon is behind that door.
Right.
Let's
But maybe
spread
there's
out
a
and find
different
another way in.
So Panda's no longer a bear.
you got it.
That throws me off every single time. You were just like, rah, 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 and I can understand you because I'm so smart.
When all
I-
the danger went away.
I
she's
couldn't
like,
really
"Whew."
understand what you were saying, but I got the drift of it.
But when I'm a bear, can she touch me and understand what I'm saying?
Well, if I cast a
If
spell,
she spends 10 minutes and casts a ritual spell.
But we need to remember that.
hum.
That's so amazing.
You guys, I can talk to Pando.
Give me 10 minutes.
What would you like me to tell her?
Pando is
Bottom's
hungry
like-
and wants everyone to break for dinner.
Attack the pelican. I'll tell her to attack the pelican.
So there's
Well, I can't see through your eyes. If you're willing to touch me, I can see through your eyes and I can do that. But you know what?
we'll
At the end of the
right.
day, like, what's the advantage of that? We
Right.
just lose me.
we're gonna think of something very cool to do
Love
with
these-
this.
No, this
Love
is a
these
really.
tactics.
We're creating some really cool tactical moves here.
Anyway.
You go out there and I'm gonna look through your eyes. We call this move sucker.
We call this move.
It's the
We're
frame
gonna
dough.
eliminate one of our characters just because we can.
When
so
Freya's
there's-
seeing through Pando's eyes, Pando can't see, right?
No, she can't.
I think she can.
Where do I go next? No,
Well, that-
so there's
I just
a
don't know
couple-
what the advantage is.
We'll come up with something.
None.
There's a couple of things.
Call this tactic down one tank.
Yes. There are a
She's
couple of
concentrating
things
really hard.
that Pando
For up
suggests.
to an hour.
Oh my goodness.
You think we should give her some water and orange slices?
Only if there's tahine.
Oh my goodness.
So you touch a willing beast for the duration of the spell. You can use your action to see through the beast's eyes and hear what it hears and continue to do so until your action to return to your normal senses. While perceiving through the beast's senses, you gain the benefits of any special senses possessed by that creature, though you are blinded and deafened to your own surroundings.
Yeah, then that's probably
right. I knew-
Great.
I knew somebody was
Doesn't
deafened
help.
and blind.
So there's a couple of things that Pando just offers or suggests after we're all together. One is if we took a short rest, there are a couple spells that she could potentially use on
A long rest.
a long rest. It's not a short rest, long rest. So we
Let's
would
do
have
a
to take a
long
long rest. So I'm just throwing out suggestions. There's a couple spells that might be helpful, specifically if the lock is magic, but it might not.
It
'Cause-
seems
The
like
lock
we're-
is magic.
Right, but I don't know if these spells would necessarily work
Oh.
against
It
it.
just
But it would be
seems-
something to try.
It seems like we could take a long rest, doesn't it? I mean, are we like? Seems
Well,
like
that's
we
one
could.
suggestion. The other suggestion is there is some shit happening, like, upriver. I have no idea what it is, but it is, like, calling to me like nothing else has before. Might be unrelated. Might be completely related. Those are my two offerings.
So I think Air will speak up at this point and probably say,
Wait, are Pando and Air holding hands like best friends?
"Oh yeah,
Cool.
yeah."
Just checking.
I think hip to hip.
Yeah, for
Yeah,
sure.
hip to hip and holding hands.
Besties.
I think Air would say at this point, feels like we've exhausted a lot of our options, but I don't see any threats around here. So maybe observing for a while.
I'm gonna go and study that door. Just gonna throw my entire brain at it. Not literally.
Are you
Everybody.
sure? Because you threw your whole body at it.
It's an experiment.
I just still feel like I want to swim out and check out a few more islands, but I don't know. I'll take a long rest.
Or we don't all have to, right? If we choose to do different things.
Yeah.
I mean, I could use a long rest. I did take 10 hit points.
I
Still
think
pretty
Pando
training,
is
but-
interested in a long rest, regardless of whatever we choose to get back some of her spell slots and one of her wild shapes.
The last thing I think Air would probably say, and I could be wrong about this, but I'm piloting Air a little bit here. So I think Air would say, if we're going to rest for a long time, I'm not sure how comfortable I feel doing it here.
Oh no, we definitely need to fortify a position.
It's
And
like,
I expected that we
Hey, we could go out to that fruit island.
would have a watch that I would take the first watch at, and
Right.
uh,
Right.
We'll
And then-
definitely be keeping watch.
Yeah.
and then I can.
I'm just saying I don't know if I want to rest in this,
In this
creepy uninhabited village.
But
Because
if
it's
we're gonna
creeping
be-
me out.
I'm kind of vibing at it.
I can tell.
I do want to.
I don't want to get ambushed by a warthog in the middle of the night, I guess is where I'm going with
I
this.
got you, bestie.
It's not that bad. I only took
She
10 points
head
of damage.
bumps
Okay,
you.
before we leave, can Potom just look at the door again and
Yeah.
make an Arcana check,
Sure.
looking for symbols for something that he recognizes,
Mm-hmm.
because he has an extensive knowledge of that.
Yeah, make an Arcana check.
Well, Potom does the Arcana check.
Not that extensive apparently.
That extent.
11.
I mean, you see runes around. They were subtle and weren't easily seen at a glance, but you can see runes around this keyhole, and so it's clear to you. It's frankly that just made clear to you what you already knew, which is that there is either a magical trap built into a physical lock, or the lock itself is magical and has a magical trap.
Is there... Well, if I use identify, it'll just tell me that it's a lock. It's a magic lock. That is magic. Which is what the identify spell is.
Well, detect magic will tell you whether it's magic or not. The identify spell will give you some information about an object,
Okay.
and its history and things like that.
Well, then I will cast the identify spell.
Okay. The identify spell tells you that this is an arcane lock that is keyed to the life energy of an individual. And you know what? Why don't you go ahead and roll an intelligence check. That's your wisdom or your magic modifier, right?
Mhm.
Your magic is based on intelligence?
Yep.
Yeah, roll an intelligence modifier.
17.
Sweet.
You cast the spell real good. And it tells you that this arcane lock is keyed to the life energy of one Estereth Tantathian.
Is that a name?
Tantatian.
It is a name.
Are you writing Esterath Tantatian down?
Estereth
Yeah, but I tend to forget
Taint.
this thing.
Estereth Tantathian.
Tathian. Oh.
Taint.
I just gotta call it back. Missy Thomas?
Here's what you know about arcane locks. Not a lot, but what you know about arcane locks is you can't pick an arcane lock. Doesn't matter how good a thief you are. It's locked with magic. So you either need to dispel it with a powerful enough dispel magic, or you need to eliminate you need to have the key or eliminate what it is keyed to. And in this case, it's keyed to the life energy of Estereth Tantathian. So...
Your name is Taserface? Such a bad name.
Bad name. So either kill Taserface or have a powerful enough dispel.
Okay.
But no amount of tinkering is going to get you through this lock because it is an arcane lock.
That's cool.
It is cool.
It's not a physical lock.
Tantathian.
Would there be any kind of like a history or religion check allow Pando to potentially see if she recognizes that name?
I will give you this for free.
Yeah.
None of you has ever heard of Estereth Tantathian.
I am educated.
I know. I know.
Me too.
And so you don't even, but I'm telling you, you don't even have to roll. I
Okay.
will tell you with confidence that none of your party has ever heard of Estereth Tantathian.
Well,
Is
shit.
Estereth Tantathian a toucan?
Or a boar.
Or a
None of you's ever heard of that person, so you don't
I
know.
don't know.
Oh man, only if we could talk to animals.
Give it 10 minutes.
Well, I mean, I'm gonna put my hand out 100 times. We'll try. Are you willing?
Are we taking a long rest?
We could also develop a
Yes.
snare.
Should we go back to
taking a long
shore,
rest.
kind of fortify?
Where are
do
you
some
taking the long
watches?
rest?
Outside of town.
Yeah.
Okay. So back across the bridge, find a decent spot. You post up. You're keeping watch. Here's how we're going to end it for tonight. You settle in, build a very small, low smoke fire, keep sort of an eagle eye out, and a short time later, several hours later, after a light dinner and patching up some of your wounds and things like that,
Some apricot mead.
some apricot mead is passed around. The sun finally fully sets, not just behind the trees, but behind the horizon. And as it does, the village of Teshiar awakens.
Yes.
Animals.
Some spirited away stuff.
Animals emerge
I
from
was thinking,
the
I was thinking
perimeter.
this looked like Spirited Away.
Same.
Animals emerge from the perimeter of the village. They come out from the rafters of buildings. They scurry down the sides. Cats roam out from the alleyways. And from a distance, you watch as all of these creatures, well, most of these creatures, begin to transform. And one at a time, their bodies stretch and grow and elongate and stand on two legs until what you see arrayed before you in the bright moonlight of this late summer evening is a village populated entirely by were creatures.
Oh.
Half animal, half humanoid, of all different shapes and sizes. Werebirds and werecats, boars.
I was just gonna say that
Were
wereboar
monkeys.
might be my new enemy.
And as you sit in your camp and witness this transformation, you notice two things. First, you notice that almost immediately the vast majority of these villagers just step right into the normal flow of their life. Some of them launch fishing boats. Some begin taking in laundry. Some start sweeping shop fronts. Others send their kids running up the street. And suddenly this looks like a village at the start of any morning.
They're going to be pissed when they find their community center's been ripped up. Good thing I stacked that lumber nicely.
The second thing you notice is a 7-foot tall, powerfully muscled, sharp-tusked wereboar holding a huge, wicked-looking spear, standing guard at the other end of the bridge from which you entered, staring straight across the bridge directly at your camp. And above you, you hear a voice that is just slightly it's humanoid, but has sort of a, I don't know how to describe this, sort of a squawk to it. About 30 to 40 feet above your head in the trees, you hear a voice say, "He won't hurt. Well, he might. But we better talk. You coming in or what?"
Oh, you know we are.
And when you look up, you see
A toucan.
a toucan man perched up above you. Huge, 6
Where toucan?
foot long aware toucan with
Just thinking about that is making me really...
like an
So
8-foot
happy.
wingspan and about a 4-foot long toucan bill out in front of him.
His legs are backwards, because like a bird.
He's
And its beak is like this big.
he's disturbing. He's a disturbing creature to look at.
So,
And that's where we're going to end it tonight.
okay.
Yes.
But first of all, I knew they weren't animals. Second of all,
So did I. I was just trying to touch one.
You're all
of all,
very smart.
Thank you. That's all we like to hear. Do you think they would be
Remember
interested
when
in
we
the
went
fact
to
that
the
I
Dallas World
willfully
Aquarium?
can turn
And
into an animal and out of an animal?